Let's bring Vaibhav onto the loop. And Vaibhav, from a consumer perspective, right? When you deal with craft and cheese and products which are consumed, and the definition for me for a food product or a biscuit is it is the same customer eating or using the product maybe a couple of times in a day. So that's again a different mechanism. That is again a different kind of a supply chain requirement and product supply requirements. So coming from that perspective, what is your thought on visibility and how important it is for your organization?
Thanks, Sanjay. Interesting question. I mean, let me put it through a story, right? So let's assume you're hungry. Suddenly, you get a call from your favorite pizza store asking whether you want to order your favorite pizza or not. You just give a consent, and in next 2 minutes, you have a pizza delivered, piping hot pizza, your favorite pizza delivered at your door at a cost of rupees 50. Right? How does it sound? I mean, it sounds amazing, right? But is it possible? Yeah. I guess it is possible, right? It is possible through visibility, right? What kind of visibility am I talking about? I'm talking about three kinds of visibilities here. I'm talking about one, demand visibility. I'm talking about two, supply visibility. I'm talking about three, stock visibility, right? Now, let me tell you how did it all happen. So the consumer was actually wearing a smartwatch. So as soon as he started feeling hungry, the smartwatch actually picked up the signal from the changes in your body, from the reactions in your body, and sent a signal to your favorite pizza store. So the pizza stores received that signal and called you immediately. And when it called you immediately, it kind of then they already know by your ordering pattern, by your machine learning and AI, they already know what kind of pizzas do you love. So they gave you a couple of options from your favorite pizza. Obviously, you will order one of them. Now, as soon as you ordered one of them, they were actually not sitting on any inventory because all the vendors also got the similar kind of visibility or of the order that you have placed, and immediately within no time they were able to deliver what you want to that manufacturing location of that pizza, and the pizza was immediately baked and sent it to you. Now, since nobody was holding any inventory, there's no supply chain, so there are no major supply chain cost of inventory holding and all that. So hence you were able to get. So there was no obsolescence. In food industry, obsolescence is a big cost. So without any obsolescence, that pizza was able to deliver to you, and hence a 300 rupees pizza probably what cost today, or we were able to deliver to you at rupees 50. So this is the power of visibility, right? Now, any disruptions that happens from the back end is a supply visibility. So then you start building in this VUCA world, you start building your defensive account against that supply chain disruptions that may happen through backend. So yes. And hence by this visibility, you are able to do a lot of you are able to take a lot of right decisions at the right time, so that you save on your cost, you can do a customer delight, and you can achieve what you want to achieve as a business.
Excellent, Vaibhav. And you talked about obsolescence. You also talked about stock, and you talked about visibility of three spectrum: demand, supply, and as well as inventory. So let's get Pramod, right? And Pramod as a CFO, and when you look at your financials, right, and you look at your working capital, just now what Vaibhav alluded to. So are there any clear benefits if you have a visibility into your stocks, into your inventories, into your asset management? And how deeper that visibility is required, say from example financial reporting perspective, from audit controls perspective, from compliance and regulatory?
Yeah, sure. See, visibility is the eyes of the organization. I mean, it's like, if you were to think of our body, then say that, is my, am I able to see? Only if I'm able to see, then I'm able to take action. And then again, when I have this quarterly audit committee meeting, and I have one coming up on Friday, one of the first questions that unnerves whether it is auditors or me as CFO or the audit committee is that, do you know what risks you are carrying? And you cannot know what risks you are carrying unless you have a visibility. And we are an inventory based organization. In fact, if you leave some of the services organizations or IT organizations aside, most of the world is a physical inventory based organization, and therefore inventory visibility is the most important visibility that you need. In many ways, the way I look at it is that, like, if I was to look at my assets, and we are a design company and not really a, not as much into manufacturing, I have either got inventory or I have debtors, and sometimes I call that debtors are my inventories, which are on which I have booked my profits. Like, for example, in the in the apparel business, while there are stores that I run myself, there are also channel partners to whom we sell, and most of the channel partners have an ability, contractual ability, to return at least some part of the products back to me if they are unsold.
Yes.
Either they can be a sale or return basis, or they can even be, even if I have sold outright and I have collected the money at the end of the season, 10 to 15% of the products they can send back to me. So therefore, for me, visibility is not only for the inventories that I am carrying either in my stores or in transit or in my warehouse, etc. I would expand the scope of visibility to even what is the unsold inventory lying at my dealers' places. How old are they? What is the rate of sale versus the inventory that is being carried? So therefore, one is a classical inventory visibility from the viewpoint of whether I have physical controls on the inventory. Are my inventories reconciled? Is my goods in transit under control, etc. But if I was to expand it to the business planning, then I need to have inventory visibility even in terms of what are the high level of inventories lying in my channels vis-a-vis the rate of sale, which may come back to me at a certain point in time, at the end of the season, and therefore what should I do about it? So therefore inventory is important for me, both from the controls point of view as well as in terms of the future business planning point of view.
Excellent. And Pramod, can you talk a little bit about, does it help into your management of financial reporting, and which are those levelers that you can talk about?
Okay. See, the thing is that if I was to really look at it, as I said, we are a multi-channel, business.
Yes.
The inventories are lying in my stores. They are lying in my, marketplace warehouse, which is a very different system altogether, because it requires an integration with marketplaces, and each of the marketplaces have got their own ways and means of identifying inventory. Therefore, and SAP does not necessarily support all of that. Therefore, I have a separate place in which we keep
Yes.
the marketplace inventory. Then I have my own warehouse, and so on and so forth. So therefore, I need to have a good understanding of not only the quantities, but I also need to have an understanding of the inventory at, let's say, SKU level, fashion level, etc., so that I am able to do advanced planning for the inventory that is available and also in the pipeline.
First
So that
class.
becomes very important for us. Did I
Excellent.
answer your question?
Absolutely, Pramod. Absolutely. Now, let's get Hitesh onto the screen. And Hitesh, this is such a fantastic discussion. We talked about trust, we talked about transparency, we talked about a bit of stocks, and Pramod actually being the retail product that he does. He also talked about not just your stocks, but even your distributor stocks, even the stocks that is on the shelf, which has the potential to come back, right? So that means you need to really have a deep analysis. Now, just going one step backwards and say, in your experience for a B2B product like cement or any other product that you have handled before, in your opinion, how much industry has learned a lesson in the last 2 years, specifically taking COVID-19 as a catalyst or as a case study, whether it has really hastened organization, it has pushed organization over the cliff to have a real integrated system in place so that you're able to manage your assets, including your people and inventory from a visibility perspective. What's your thought on that?
Yeah, I think Vaibhav, Pankaj, and almost all the panel members have very beautifully summarized the impact and significance of visibility, and we have same or similar level of impact in our manufacturing sector of including the cement industry. Last 2 years or 2.5 years, I would say, since COVID impact, it has accelerated our adoption of digitization in supply chain, which clearly gives us the edge for visibility part. Now, today, visibility has become a hygiene factor for us, which everyone said that there should be a common visibility, standard visibility across chain, whether it is our internal customers, external customers, and it has become so hygiene today that people cannot live without that level of visibility. Uh, One thing is that the customer demand, which we are seeing, is actually uh, putting the pressure on order fulfillment or the demand fulfillment, and to ensure that we live up to the expectation of service levels of those order fulfillment, we need to have that visibility of information which is required to measure the service level, optimize cost, plan our execution, and as you said rightly, build trust and transparency in the entire system. Last 2.5 years, what we have seen, 2 years I would to be exact, is that the adoption of digital technology, which is enabling visibility, has gone up high, which in maybe a normal scenario, we would have taken another 4 5 years to adopt. All the processes, whether we call it as electronic proof of delivery, visibility of our assets, products, inventory, which earlier were more a manual process, has now been mostly digitized, made paperless. Even all our freight bills and including our invoices, everything is now digitally signed and digital copies are submitted. There are no handing over of hard copies. So we do not require commercial transporter going to our commercial team manually checking it, or our customer giving proof of delivery on a paper. All these things have been now done away in last two, and that acceleration has only happened in the last 2 years. There was a compulsion also, because to have the COVID, follow the COVID protocols and keeping the safe distance, and that is where people started adopting, and slowly and steadily people also found clear value in it. Because of this digital and visibility, the overall payment cycle of transporters came down, their cash flow improved. We were able to take advantage of better freights. So from that perspective, last 2.5 years has been very wonderful for I'm sure with most of us, other industry as well, where we have adopted this digital and technology, whether it is IoTs or through different platforms, which has improved, not helped us pass through this COVID difficult period by maintaining all this safe distance and all, but also clearly added value to us.
Excellent, Hitesh. And keeping you onto the screen, right? You spoke about Vaibhav, right? I mean, you heard Vaibhav talking about a consumer product, and then Pramod talking about an apparel versus your product kind of being consumed by customers, but then it could still be classified as B2B or going via a larger distribution network. Are there any basic differences in terms of the treatment that you have, or in terms of the system or network setup you require at the back to manage that kind of visibility?
Yeah, at least in cement industry, we have both B2B and B2C, because we deliver a lot of cement direct to our end consumer also. Uh, the basic difference, there is a lot of similarity, but I would talk about the basic difference which we managed, especially through visibility, is the sheer scale at which we are operating. We have more than 50 plants across the country. There are thousands of orders which flow to us in an hour. That is an hourly business for us, and which gets distributed from different plants, different warehouses, different head. And to manage the sheer scale of the business, we require most of the processes to be digitized, to be online, and also that clear visibility to all the people in the supply chain, whether we talk about our manufacturing counterparts, we talk about our logistics team who's dispatching through our rakes and road and through our ships, and to also our sales team, our key accounts team, and finally to our end consumers, which are our dealers, retailers, and even the individual
Yes.
house builders. So that connectivity is what is very critical to manage such a scale of operations.
Excellent. Connectivity and scale, right? And that's something you said it very well.